welcome back to Guys Unpacked. This is Dre.
This is Rich. We want to thank you guys for joining us for another great episode. Make sure that you guys go on, like and subscribe, click the link, follow us on all social media platforms so you can get all the notifications when we have new episodes. Make sure you click the bell for the notifications.
Comment, share, all that shit.
All of that stuff. So Dre, what up, bro?
What's good, man? It's been a week. So much has happened.
Yeah, a lot of little things went down in the weeks ago. So what you been up to?
Well, the most important is you persuaded me to go to Melee, so I will be going to Melee.
Oh, you made it. That's right. You did make it in. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, what do you mean I persuaded you? I was like, that's right. You wasn't...
I wasn't going to pay for that executive shit. I was like, not a chance at all.
Right. The math behind that didn't make sense.
The math is not mathing.
Because for that price, you're not staying in the room for long enough to enjoy that price hike.
Yo, you couldn't put me there for a week for me to spend that much in that space. But yeah, so I'll be there. And of course, as a result, I'm like, shit, I'm going to be shirtless while there. So I was like, luckily I'm not, chubby. I'm not fat, but I got some work to do though, because I'm definitely not toned either.
Got 2 months, bro.
So not even a full 2 months, but I hit Chris up immediately.
Big up to Chris.
And I was like, yo, dude, how healthy can I build some muscle?
No, without steroids or HGH.
None of that shit. None of that shit.
How do we do this without the shots?
I don't want to die.
Right.
And he gave me a couple workout plans. I started yesterday. Okay. Surprisingly, actually running on the treadmill is better for my injury than running on pavement, which I like.
Why is that surprising?
Well, because I just assumed that like running on pavement was going to I know it doesn't have give like a treadmill does, but like I would naturally not run as fast, whereas a treadmill it forces you to run. So I was thinking more from a speed standpoint, because I run faster on a treadmill than I do when nobody's pushing me, right?
Right.
But ran yesterday, ran today, feel good.
Okay.
So yeah, we gonna be in immediately, and I'm gonna be able to take my shirt off and feel confident about it, and not feel.
I don't care what I look like. My shirt's coming off. Though. You talking about feel confident? I don't care what I look like. True. The shirt coming off.
The shirt is coming off
regardless. In Cancun.
And he flat out told me, he was like, so yeah, but the amount of prosecco that you were drinking, you got to cut. He was like,
we could work out all we want.
Bro, he flat out said, he was like, only for the Guys Unpacked. Because I told him, I was like, I got to drink something on it. He was like, that can be the only one per week.
Oh, so that's it for the week.
For the week, this is all I'm drinking for the week.
So what you doing this weekend? Because this weekend we have a pump.
This weekend doesn't count. This is still the ramp up.
These calories don't count.
This is still the ramp up. For the rest of it, but no, I know. You're
throwing it out the window this weekend.
Yes, this is gonna be the only weekend I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, bro. I just can't. Because I'm sure he's gonna be out there with me drinking too.
He's absolutely good.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Absolutely. So
might as well plug it.
For those of y'all that don't know, so this weekend, what we got going on at DMV, we got Sekou is throwing soca and rum up at the Buena Vista Ballroom.
Yep.
It's typically the Carnival Return Fest, so that's Sekou Flex. All the tickets for that are online at SekouFlex.com. And of course, the Hooky Life Boys are doing PCP, Post-Carnival Pump. That's going down at Karma.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets for that are available at HookyLife.com. We're going to be outside. That's all we know.
Nigga.
We're going to be outside this weekend. Alcohol.
Will you be drinking? Because I know that, you're a lot more stringent on, I know you're doing intermittent fasting and shit. So, I'm actually okay at the end of the day that even if I reached Melee and I have not gained 1 ounce of muscle and have not toned anything down, I'm still taking my shirt off. Just like you. But you are still very dedicated to your intermittent fast. So that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I don't know if I do how much I'm gonna be drinking yet. I haven't decided. We'll see how the weekend.
We're drinking. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll see. Look, the last couple things I went to, I didn't.
I know, but those are not the same. It's not the same. They're not built the same.
Yeah. Again, we'll see. Though. We'll see how the weekend goes. Because honestly, here was the thing. I remember when you were talking about when you fasted, right? And when you hit a point and you were like, let me see how far I can take this.
Sure.
That's kind of where I'm at now. I've gone a little while without drinking, and I'm just like, how many parties, not even the little while without drinking, how many events can I be at around drinking and not give in?
Yeah.
Right? So
Oh, I can totally do it. I've done it many times.
But like I typically just have a drink,
right?
Just because I'm out. So like having done like I think it's been like 3 events now I've been to. Nothing.
You save a shit ton of money now buying alcohol, bro. Like I will say that's the one thing that like I would go to the bar and I'm like I'm keep his tab open, but all I want is club soda,
bro. I don't even do that. I'll come in. I'll have some water and stuff before I get in. I may drink like a ginger ale or something, and that'll be it for the night. So I'm like, so if I can now again, this weekend's going to be the challenge though because this is going to be something where like bunch of people that were cool. Like I think there's gonna be a lot more going on this weekend, a lot more moving pieces. So maybe a little bit harder to stick with it. But you know what? When we meet again, we'll see what the actual result was. If I was able to maintain.
I'll see you on Saturday. Like, it's not about meeting again.
Right. After that, we got March 20th.
Yep.
Strictly the Best Soca Edition going down at Mix Lounge. Mix Bar and Grill in Silver Spring. Tickets for that available at itsdjmajestic.com.
Yep.
And finally, we have Prestige, my big birthday party. That is going down Sunday, April 24th. Tickets for that available at logicpromotionsdc.com. So log on, get your tickets, follow us online, follow Sekou Flex, Hookie Life, DJ Majestic, DJ Hazard. You get all the information on all the upcoming events that I listed so far. Also, promoters, if you got events or products and you want to either sponsor an episode or get your products promoted, just hit us up. Either email us directly, hit up me and Dre, and we'll work it out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think one of the main things that we need to continue pushing, and it's something that we do anyway, is that there's shit to do in DC. We could probably do more and we could do better, and that's a whole different discussion. But there's shit to do. Is we just laid out 4 events in the next couple weeks. So
yeah. All right. So first thing on the agenda, bro, these gas prices.
Let me tell you. So I drove to Philly this weekend, Saturday, just for like a quick day trip.
Yeah.
And Saturday morning when I was leaving, just go to fill up.
Right.
And I looked at the gas price. I was like, I don't know if I want to drive that far, right? So I was able to get at $3.95, which was good.
Yeah, that's reasonable
right?
now. So
get up there, it was all good. I drive a Wrangler, which is not great on gas. So by the time I got up there, I was at half tank. And then like by the time it was less than half tank. Coming back, I was able to get all the way back into Maryland without like me hitting
from full.
Yeah. So it wasn't bad, but wasn't great, right? But as you know, like when you on the highway, all the gas stations that are like right off of the highway, like whether it's like a little welcome center or whatever it is, they be giving the premium prices. Mm-hmm. So it was like $4.19 for a whole bunch of them. I was like, I got enough that I can get past like the Maryland house and all those other things.
All the main rest stops, yeah.
Right. Stop at one, thinking I'm about to get a nice price. $4.25. I was like, nope. I was like, I'll keep on going. And luckily, I kept on driving for probably about another 10 miles, and ended up getting $3.89. So like, all I have to say, these gas prices are atrocious right now, and I'm quite upset because I'm about to buy a bicycle.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't care about the best part of it for me are the memes and the jokes, like which is the best part of just about everything for me. Like we will always find the humor in it. So some of the gas prices jokes have been funny, but nah, it's been ridiculous. I have a trip coming up, and I'm
drive.
Yeah, I got to drive.
Where?
And it's up top. So
still though, like that drive to New York is no joke, man. I
mean, I make it on a little bit more of a quarter tank, a little bit more than a quarter tank.
Up and back?
Nah, just up.
Okay.
So
I was about to say you driving a Tesla up and back.
Nah, bro, like a little bit more than a quarter tank to go, and then so typically, like if I'm going up there, I can go up, and I don't have to fill up. I can get around while I'm up there on that same fill up from down here, and I won't have to fill up till it's time to come back.
Got you. And the Turnpike usually has the best prices, surprisingly.
Yeah. So I'm not as concerned, but I just know like this whole gas price situation has been...
So what's pissing me off more than anything, though, is the gas price situation. A lot of people assume that it has to do with what's going on overseas. Like, and it does, but it's not, like, that's not the actual cause of the gas prices going up, right? Mm-hmm. Like, yes, we get gas from overseas, but the majority of the gas or oil and gas that we import is right here in North America. It's Canada and Mexico. Mm. So essentially, and then we also like drill here as well. Mm. So most of the gas that has gone up, especially this quickly, is not gas that has been like that is now being imported. This is gas that's already here that people have realized there's a demand and supply piece. Like, all right, cool. Well, y'all need gas. Mm. We can charge more because we know you're going to pay for it. And I got a huge issue with that because it's very similar to like right before the pandemic. Right. Like when people were like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go and take all of the Purell, right, and then sell it on Amazon for like 10 times the price of it. Right. It's not necessary, bro.
Nah. Then the problem is we're the ones who are kind of like feeling it. And the reality is a lot of us don't have the options. Like we got to get to work and all this other stuff. And then the worst part about here in the DMV is like, I was listening to the news today. A bunch of metro stations are closing for repairs for multiple weeks. Really? Some are closing for like 6 weeks. They listed like 4 or 5 of them. And I just couldn't help but think, huh?
Are they main ones?
Yeah. So I couldn't help but think like, yo, this is the worst time for Metro to be like closing down stations or making getting around on the Metro less convenient, which is already hella inconvenient because it feels like every week there's a line that's down for something. There's only 6 lines. One of them is always down. Yeah. And
will always be down.
And it closes and it opens at certain times. So if you're late night, Metro isn't even an option. I can't imagine what Uber.
I was about to say. I wonder if they're going to start charging more as a result.
I'm sure. I'm sure they are. Because when you think about it, like all of it affects them as well.
So I know it affects them, but I don't know if. So that doesn't. You don't know if Uber itself.
It affects each individual. But if there are no drivers, then they'll start to surge to get people to come out.
But so unfortunately though, the human psyche works the opposite though. So the people who need it are going to be like, well, I just have to drive more to make more, as opposed to like, well, some people are going to
see. I think most people are going to go the opposite, because I was talking to someone, and they were saying, dog, it's not even worth it to do DoorDash and stuff now with the cost, right? I was just mentioning it. I wasn't even thinking about it from that perspective. And then as we're talking now, I'm like, right, when there's a demand and there's not enough vehicles, they'll start to surge to try to get people out. And there's people who wait for those surges, like as drivers, like I'm not going out unless it's X or Y. So gotcha. So it'll trickle down, in terms of the pricing affecting the price of the Ubers.
We shall see. So, I mean, I haven't Ubered in a very long time, so
I had to Uber the other day from the airport, so. But yeah, so on to Russia, as we're talking about gas prices. First on the agenda, actually second on the agenda now. Biden has decided we're no longer, they cut off importing oil from Russia. Right. Both sides agreed on it. Right. Everyone's kind of on the same page with this one. Like, we can't keep subsidizing their war efforts. Like, we're not going to import stuff from them. Right.
I mean, so I love the sentiment. It's really right along the lines of like the sanctions and everything. Yeah. It would have been a bigger impact if we actually imported a lot of gas or oil from and natural gas from Russia. I think it's like it's substantial enough that like the number is going to look good to the average person, but when you look at it in context, like, I think it's like maybe 1.5% of the oil and natural gas that we import is from Russia.
You're looking at it the wrong way.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how much we're getting. The question is, how much are we getting? How much of their reserve? Like, how much money are they generating from it?
No, I get that.
So that's what I'm saying, where I'm like, the impact is more than just symbolic. It's like, yeah, it's not hurting us much because we don't import much from them, but it's hurting them because we've cut off all these other financial things, and now we're saying, and we're not buying oil from you either.
Yeah. No, so I love that aspect of it. Yeah. I mean, it would be even greater if like the impact.
Because then you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Because if we're actually, if that.
I get what you're saying.
So that's why I don't think it would be better. I think it's better this way.
When I say better, I don't mean from a dollar standpoint. I mean better from like the symbolism standpoint. It's like we're willing to suffer. That's what I mean.
Yeah, we're not.
Oh, I know we're not.
But let me tell you, I'm not willing. It's bad enough. No. Oil, gas prices are bad enough now.
You'll never move into California. Bro, I'm not, clearly. Because them Cali prices are all kind of $8 a gallon.
Not by choice. Like Cali living is expensive in general. I lived out there for a year. Cali living is expensive in general.
But a lot of it has to do with the view of like them wanting to be like leaders in so many things. So the governor, in particular for gas, like there's a gas tax that causes the price of gas to be so much higher because what they want to do is they want to move into more of an electric space,
right? More renewable energy,
green and all that stuff. So that's more along the lines of my thinking. Like I'm willing to pay more just to do the right thing.
Yeah, I am as well to a point. You know,
like,
and when I say
not for gas,
not even that. No, I'm full in on moving towards renewable fuel. But I think there has to be a kind of a balance. It's like when flat screen TVs first came out, they were about this thick, right. And it was like $10,000 for like a little 32. You know what I mean? Like just the fact that it was a flat screen.
I'm not buying that.
It was crazy.
Right.
Once we get there more aggressively, and now we can start to like normalize some of the pricing, and now it's like Teslas. Like Tesla would come out and the Tesla would be 60, 70, 80 grand for a car, and that would be your option if you wanted electric. But now as more companies are saying, well, no, we're also making electric cars.
You can get the Bolt.
We're all making electric cars that look decent. Let me take it back a little bit because
Nissan Leaf.
I didn't even understand why that was a thing where like, hey, if we're making it electric, we have to make it look stupid. Like, that's the only way we could, what is it about the design?
It's like, I think it has more to do with like, it has to stand out. I think that's more like it, which to the typical person, we're like, I actually don't want to stand out. I just want like
I just want the fuel economy. Right. I'm all in on trying to save the environment. I just don't want to drive a car that looks like I should be beat up. Like
I'm literally never buying an electric vehicle until I'm proud to sit in the vehicle.
No, they have some now. I think they're
starting.
Right, they're shifting now
because even some of the Teslas I'm not a fan of. Like
but even outside of just the Teslas, they're shifting more to a, hey, we're going to just make it look like the other cars. There's going to be little things on it. I can't remember who was it. If it was BMW or someone. I just recently saw one. It's either a hybrid or a straight up electric.
Yep.
And it looks like the others. Huh? Which one? The Mustang? Not even the Mustang.
That's hideous, dog.
Yeah, not even the Mustang.
The Mach-E is hideous. Yeah, and I was excited when they were talking about it. I was like, oh shit, a muscle car? Because when you think about it, electric vehicles are super fast because it's straight power right away. Right. So I'm like, oh, that's why they about to make a muscle car Mustang, and I seen it, I'm like, that's just a fucking hatchback.
That's the problem.
Like a fucking station
and
wagon.
That's where they're losing me. Like, why not just make it like, build it like the other one that we like.
Make it look just like it.
Right, you have the design already that we like. Just make it electric.
Just change the emblem.
Don't change the exterior at all.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I will say. So Jeep came out with a 4xe, right? Mm-hmm. So it's electric Wrangler,
right?
Like it looks literally just like the Wrangler.
Okay.
The only reason I haven't bought one yet is because like part of the whole Wrangler life right now is the modifications.
Okay.
And as soon as you start modifying shit on an electric vehicle, like you're potentially gonna fuck some shit up.
Okay.
So after like the first phase, I want to see, because I haven't seen any of them like modified.
Okay.
They all are just stock.
Okay.
I want to see like the off-road, the ones that are looking very off-roadish.
Okay.
And when I see enough of those, dog, that's exactly where I'm going. Exactly where I'm going.
Nah, that makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Like, make the car that we want, but just make it electric. Make it exactly like we already have.
Confuse me.
Right. Like that's the thing. I don't need you. Put a big E somewhere on it. So if that's what you want people to know, that it's electric. So, I think the gas. I think the cutting off of the purchasing oil from Russia will help.
Of course.
I don't think so. Then I saw a few other places doing different things.
Okay.
McDonald's announced that they're closing all their stores in Russia.
I was happy to see that.
I think it was, but they're closing all their stores in Russia. And the funny thing was, I know McDonald's to be like franchise.
Sure.
But apparently, like 84% of the McDonald's in Russia are owned by McDonald's.
Okay.
So they're not franchise. So they were able to just close them.
Okay.
But they're going to continue to pay all of their employees. There's 62,000
totally
employees. And I think that's stupid.
Why?
So if you're closing the stores, but still paying the employees, there's zero impact of closing the stores. You might as well have left them open because all you've done,
not true.
All you've done is cut off your revenue stream that you would typically use to pay those employees. You're not making any money. You're not actually hurting Russia. You're actually probably making them healthier by not leaving them the option of McDonald's for lunch. And the employees. So me as an employee, there's no impact to me to do anything. I'm actually happy for this. Like if the goal, I don't know what the goal is, right?
Okay.
But if even the side impact was, hey, we want to show you that we're not supporting this and what you're doing. You're not even showing that because I know we're still funneling money into your economy because we're still paying the people that were working there and they can still go out and buy stuff. And in fact, not even got to go to work. So they can just sit at home. They're actually low-key. Some of them are like, yo, I actually like the war. It was almost like when...
The stimulus.
Right. Or not even the stimulus. Just COVID in general, right? When COVID was like, yo, it's killing a lot of people, but traffic is great.
Right.
And I can work from home. So you're kind of like seeing the bright side in it. I think if you continue to pay the employees while closing the stores, they're just going to be like, no, I'm cool with the war. Like, I'm not even anti-war anymore because I'm being paid to stay home.
Here's the only reason, and you already know me. Like, I was totally anti-stimulus for the most part, right? Okay. So I'm not a fan of just giving people money. Now, for this one, I think it's a little bit nuanced because it's not that the stores can't open for a reason. It's McDonald's does not want to be actively working in the economy, or not in the economy, but they don't want to actively be working in Russia, right? Okay. So I totally get where you're coming from. But in the land of instant news everywhere and cancel culture, I know a part of that had to do with McDonald's not wanting to deal with backlash from just firing 62,000 people. Because the average person is going to understand that. Be like, all right, cool, I get it. Like, sometimes you got, like, that is collateral damage. But that is I don't want to say the average person. That is the critical thinker, rather. The average person is going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that McDonald's just fired all those people, right? Like, that they didn't have anything to do with the actual war or whatever. Because you don't really get a chance to explain what you just explained when you make that decision. So, I mean, I'm really neither here nor there, but I do appreciate the fact that they're at least trying to take care. And I'm guessing it's not in perpetuity. It's probably for a specified amount of time that they're going to pay.
Temporary, but all they said is that's the thing. They said we're going to continue to pay the employees. Right. So
which I mean, it's really abrupt. It's not something that people could plan for. Like I think it's the humane way to handle it. But I would hope that at some point they say, all right, it's only for, let's say it's 3 months and you got to figure something else out.
And if they do that, I'm fine with that.
Right.
I can get on board with that because you're right. It is if you're abruptly closing the stores, you should not abruptly stop paying the people. So I'll give you that. Right. I agree with that. But I do also feel like,
definitely not perpetuity. 2 months, that's ridiculous, right?
You get 2 months,
right, and then it's
like a severance package, right? So and I'm okay, but they didn't frame it like that.
Way.
They said we're going to continue to pay the 62,000 employees.
McDonald's is probably hedging on this is going to be
not gonna is going to be done
in a while, but and not just wanting to jump the gun, but I'm with you.
Because it's like it's almost like a meaningless gesture. Yeah. Like I said, all you're doing is the news said, and McDonald's is denying Russia Big Macs. Like they're already kind of making because it's like that's all you're really denying. It was like you can't eat here.
I would actually be interested though. I mean, I don't know any Russians that live in Russia, or even frequent Russia. I wonder how big of a staple McDonald's is.
I'm sure it's
in Russia, and how much of an impact this actually, because it's great for us to talk about it, it's a great headline, but I wonder how much Russians actually care that McDonald's is closed. That's more like what I mean.
And see, that's the thing. I don't know that that we'll really be able to gauge that, especially
we won't.
Right, especially because they're going to still pay the people. I think that, and that's the other thing. I think that is where you would see more of the impact. If you laid off 62,000 people, you know what I mean? Then you would immediately hear what the problem is. But if all you're doing is closing restaurants, and temporarily,
right?
Because like you said, I think they're hedging on, okay, this will be over in about a month, maybe.
Hopefully.
And we can quietly reopen. Like
they don't know Putin, but this shit is gonna last way longer. I'm willing to put like money on it, and I don't want to do this because like this is more proverbial money. This is gonna go at least into the summer, at the very least.
What part of it's going to go into the summer?
He is going to continue trying to evade Ukraine in his way.
Like, okay, so do you think the active fighting is going to continue through the summer?
When you say active fighting, you're talking about like combat itself?
Like right now,
like, yeah. It might not look exactly like this, but I think that there are going to still be like offensive moves into Ukraine that are not welcomed by Ukraine into the summer.
Okay.
I don't believe this is just going to end like in a diplomatic way, right? Like I'm not saying I think we're going to go to war by then. Mm-hmm. I hope we don't end up having to go to war at all. Right. But I think it's going to be a back and forth on these microaggressions until someone decides to be like, fuck it, all right, cool. Like,
right.
We come to some kind of agreement. Because I liken this so much to like union negotiations, right? Like, so when I used to work for a power company, like almost every single time there's a union negotiation, there's a point where there's some back and forth, and then it's like, yo, we're not budging on this. So you can reallocate these funds however you want, but this is the number we've decided on. Mm-hmm. And if you're not cool with that, y'all can strike, and management will then just do your job until you realize that you cannot continue striking, and you got to do it. And it happens all the time. Like, I think that there has to be give and take in some capacity. But for this one, Putin is not about to just sit here and be like, all right, cool, the ruble is down, so I'm going to get... No, he's fine. He's ready for this.
He's not. I don't think he's ready for it.
Well, I'm saying he's ready. I'm not saying the country's ready.
Well, see,
he's ready for it.
So the reports were that he's actually highly upset about how it's going, because I think he thought...
That's
what I'm saying. I don't think he's ready for it, because I think his thoughts was this was going to happen
right quickly.
Right. So I don't know that he's ready for the long haul.
So when I say ready, though, I'm not talking about ready like holistically. I'm specifically talking about him personally. And with oligarchs, like...
I'm thinking him personally. Like, they're saying, the intelligence reports are saying that, like, from his, like, inner... And this is just what I'm hearing on the news. So we don't know who's verifying these sources. Sure. Obviously, everybody has spies everywhere. But they're saying he's not happy with how things have gone, because he thought this would be over. So I don't think he's, like... He's not handling it well, according to the reports.
Yeah, so what I mean, though, and not to belabor it, I don't mean that he's happy with it. What I'm saying is, he probably still has endurance to continue going for a while, because he's not personally affected, like financially or anything like that. Like, because he got money. The rest of the country doesn't have money.
Right. Yeah.
He's good.
Oh, I got
and he's not concerned about nobody overtaking him just yet.
Eventually, you gotta buy.
Eventually, though.
Eventually, you gotta buy bullets, dog. Like, eventually, and you start to run out of supplies.
Eventually,
eventually, it's at some point. It's like, you gotta keep funding this. Like, the war doesn't just fund itself, though. Like, so we'll see what the plan is.
We shall, and hopefully, I'm wrong. Like, I mean, hopefully, this shit gets cleaned up before McDonald's has to like figure out severance packages.
Honestly, I just want this. I would like for it to come to some sort of diplomatic end. They sit down and talk. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's how it's going to have to end, because it's going to be one of two things. He either takes over Ukraine, and then there's constant fighting, because they're not just going to accept that we're under your rule anymore. Especially because they put up such a fight to keep them out. Yeah. Like, how do you hold that country that has told you, we don't want you? And then
you got to kill them all.
Right. You would have to literally kill every Ukrainian, or every Ukrainian would have to leave. And then now...
That's kind of what's happening, though. A lot of Ukrainians are fucking leaving.
Right. A lot of the ones who aren't fighting, but a lot of them are staying and fighting back, which is why they haven't taken the country yet. Right. Then, on top of that, your position within the world stage of, well, now, how do you interact with the rest of the world after, with all of the hostilities?
You don't give a shit about nobody else.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's thinking long term at all. I think he's thinking,
because he's also, I don't want to call him old, but like, he's also old.
He's not that old.
That's what I say. Like, when I say old, though, I know he's not like a grandfather age old, but like, he's also not young either. So he has the luxury of only thinking for the rest of his life.
Bruh, I don't think, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's thinking the rest of his life. I don't think he's thinking 2 years from now. Like, what is, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he ain't that old. Old in that sense is, dog, this could be tomorrow. This could be next week for me. I don't care. He's still got to live through these decisions he's making.
He don't care about living.
That's what, apparently not. Bro, you see the picture of the table?
How long that table is?
Bruh, that dude is literally.
I don't want nobody near me.
Bro, that's a level of paranoia where like they're like he's like shut in, his family's in the bunker, like
because he knows what he's doing is wrong on like every level. There's no way that he thinks that what he's doing is actually the right thing.
Right. It's like I want it, so
I want it. Right.
So, and now I know people are gonna come try to get me, so I need to keep all of y'all away from me. Cause I don't know which one of y'all.
He's like, yo, I'm cooking my own food. Right. I'm buying my own food.
One of y'all is gonna take that what's the word? Not ransom. That reward money to take me out. One of y'all is gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna roll these dice, man.
Dog, did you see the video where he was? I can't remember who he was talking to. He was talking to one of his like, I guess like heads of state, whatever that would be. Mm-hmm. And it was them trying. It was him trying to understand, or trying to get that person to understand that Ukraine is not
independent
country.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
it was so hard to watch because the guy was like,
he was trying to say the politically correct thing. Putin was basically like, no, just spit it out, say the words.
Right,
like,
and I'm sitting there
they're not independent. Like, yeah, I watched the video. I was like,
it was excruciatingly hard to watch,
and that's the thing. Like,
nobody actually rocks with what he's saying.
Right, so he's in there like he doesn't know who to trust at this point. I don't believe.
I mean, there is nobody to trust because I'm willing to put most people don't give a fuck about what's going on. They're like, we're doing it because we're scared,
right? And
we don't want to die.
And honestly, I think if all of them were kind of like, though, he can't do anything to all of us. Like we just,
it's like slavery, right? Like it's like the Kanye effect. Everybody chooses to be like slaves. Black people decide to be slaves or chose to be slaves, or whatever it was. Like
at some point, if they're all like, guys, we could just overthrow it. Like we could do it. You know what I mean? Like if the guys in his government were like, yeah, but the people he would call to kill us are us.
Right.
Like, we don't have to worry about it because we're us.
He probably got some people in there, though, that love him enough where they just don't, like, there's certain people who just don't know.
No, you're right.
Who wants to trust. And that's the difficulty. And that's the psychology behind it. It's like, I don't know if Rich is actually the one who I can trust and talk to about this. Because I talk to Rich and then I find out tomorrow, like, somebody kills my family.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
So, moving on from that, the truckers made it.
Did they though?
They made it, but I will say this: I'm happy for the way they did their convoy.
Yeah, because it didn't disrupt shit.
It didn't disrupt anything. I was expecting what happened in Canada. Like I was expecting like middle of the city, like not able to pass. Like I don't know how long they were going to be able to maintain it, but I was expecting at least for a day or two. Getting to and from work is going to be a pain in the ass.
Only reason I didn't expect it to get to that point is because. Like, our streets in the city aren't actually very conducive to truckers anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, we have all these bridges and shit where, like, they were like, yo, you're 13 feet. You can't fit.
Right, which is why I felt like it would have been worse.
True. If I don't know if they knew that, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that because we live here. Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't think truckers be knowing, like, oh, you know what? Stay away from D.C. because, like, you got to have these alternate routes. Like, I just feel like it just wasn't going to work.
Even like but even from the Beltway shut down, right?
Sure.
If they rode 4 trucks side by side at 20 miles an hour,
yeah,
that would fuck up traffic
to a point.
Right. For however long.
To a point, yeah.
They're not even doing that. You can, from what I'm being told or what I'm hearing, yeah, they're like in 1 or 2 lanes. You can still go around them. You can still get in and out.
Well, people like I know people who actually saw some of them trying to do that, but it wasn't. They weren't aligned enough to actually do like 4 across.
Right.
But they were trying to slow shit down and people were like, fuck it, I'm going on the shoulder and just going around.
Right. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're doing enough to really, and not that I'm telling them not that I'm saying that they should, but it's like, almost like if you want to get results,
this is not the way.
But you're not even creating a mild inconvenience for the people. Like
it would not matter anyway. The State of the Union was boring as shit.
But they didn't even make it. They didn't make it up here for that.
No, but originally, like the
right. But that's what I'm saying. So not even So we could even throw that out the window. You got up here a week late, and then you didn't even actually shut down traffic on the Beltway. Again, not that I want them to do that, because that would be a pain in the ass for me. But I'm if you're going to protest, like, if this is it, cool. Do this all. Y'all can do this till this.
Every single week. At
the price of gas, y'all are going to run out. Like, this is going to be a war of attrition that y'all are going to lose, because at gas prices, you're not going to be able to
afford to fill those trucks up.
And circle the Beltway for no reason. Like, you're not holding freight. You're not making any money. You're just driving, like, bruh.
Yeah.
For, like, and then it's like they've branched off from just vaccine mandates. Like, they've been listing all kinds of random demands, and they're like, just anything they feel like. One guy was like, they're teaching too much liberal stuff in the schools. I'm like,
this is gonna be unpopular opinion, but it's almost very much aligned to all of the recent protests, right? From like Black Lives Matter to the Tea Party to like all of the fringe politics shit. Like, they always start with a very, very important thing, and then end up grabbing too many things, and it's like your entire message is lost, right? Like, one of the things that, like, I think a lot of people probably hated back in the civil rights movement, but now that we can look back in hindsight, it made sense, is that they didn't fight for all fucking rights back then. They were very specific on what they were fighting for. The main thing was voting rights back then. The main thing was voting rights. Right. And then if, like, the ACLU was defending anyone, it was only if you wasn't guilty of shit. It was like, we're only going to fight for the people who were completely innocent.
Right.
If you were guilty of a crime, but, like, yes, you ended up being, punished for more than the crime, sorry, bro. I know it's unfair, but this is a fight that's not worth fighting.
Right.
Whereas now it's like, nope, we're fighting for everything.
And that's part of the problem now, where we don't, I'm not going to say we separate, like, the fight, but, like, using the ACLU example, like, some people you don't co-opt into your into what you're doing, because
we can be like, allies, but you're over there,
right? Because it's like, okay, if I'm fighting for you, who I know is guilty, and you who I know did nothing, now I don't look like I'm defending the innocent. I just look like I'm defending everybody. And now my message gets watered down, which is why, like, when I tell people, when we get into some of these, like, race discussions, and I'm like, I just look at, like, the facts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and just defend you because when I do that, it negates anytime I argue on behalf of someone who is completely, like, some bullshit, like, nah, what they did to this person was wrong.
Right.
It's like, you look at me like, it doesn't matter, because you always, as soon as the person's black, you're going to take their side. So what difference does it make?
And that's emotion versus logic, unfortunately, right? Like, it's like, we're so tired of seeing these things happen that we don't actually look at all the facts. We're just, like, so emotionally charged. And I mean, I think this translates so much into like regular relationship type shit, right? Like, we're so emotionally charged that we don't even look at, like, the logical piece. It's like, well, I understand where you're coming from, but, like, that still doesn't compute, because if we look at it from here, the principles don't match on every single situation. But
so
is what it is.
All right, moving along. Young Boosie did an interview on Vlad. It's completely off the topic.
Sure.
He did an interview with Vlad, and Vlad was saying that he was a little disappointed that Rhianna got pregnant before
getting married. Yeah.
And Boosie was kind of like, well, what do you mean? And then Vlad, he doubled down, where he was like, yeah, someone of her stature, he would expect her to get married. Boosie went off. And I'm going to tell you, I typically don't agree with Boosie. This is one of those times I had to be like, am I on the same page as Boosie on this one? I think I am.
Yes.
And somebody posted, the person who shared it posted, like, a broken nigga is right twice a day. And I was like, that's like,
what that's exactly what I was about to say.
I was like, yeah. Boosie was like, yo, not everybody got to keep up with what everyone's expectations. Right. It's like, yo, she's a billionaire.
And what society says is important.
Right. Like, she's a billionaire. Why she care about what Jay-Z or what anybody else did? Okay, these other people got married first. Cool.
And in addition to that, like, in the same interview, I can't remember if it was Vlad or if it was Boosie, but, like, apparently ASAP and Rhianna are getting married. So it's like, who gives a fuck?
Right. Like Vlad mentioned it, and Boosie was like, right, so who cares then? Like,
right. Like I literally have family, like I have family who child was in the wedding.
No, absolutely.
Right? Was the ring bearer in the wedding.
Oh, I most of the people I know, a lot of them had their kid first, had a kid first. Some of them went on and got married afterwards. Some of them married someone else,
right,
and are living their happily ever after with that person. Like,
right.
It's whatever works for you. So I agree with Boosie on this. Let's stop pushing
the same narrative for everybody.
Right. Or our standards, or what we believe our standards are based on what we see someone else doing. Because, you can say, well, this person did it this way, and great, that worked for them.
Right.
Hell, we all know people who high school sweetheart got married and then they're divorced because they thought that love was going to be forever. You know what I mean?
Dog, I know college sweethearts that got married and are divorced. And like it, to your point, I think that so often we try to fit into society standards. And then we end up, unfortunately, not being gentle with ourselves when we don't meet it. But the irony is, a lot of times when we don't meet it, it's because like that's just not us. And it's like we end up trying to almost force this round peg into a square hole. And it's like, oh, if that's not us, then why are we trying to do that? Like, be gentle with yourself. Understand that even if you bought into it because that's what society says you should buy into, but it's not really what you want, unlearn it and be like, you know what? I'm cool with being different than what society says is the norm.
And honestly, even beyond that, sometimes it's not you with that person.
Sure.
So it might not even be that it's not you. It might just be like, hey, I would like to do this, but you know what? This isn't working.
Right.
So, and this may come after you have already had a child. And then you realize now, hey, because again, not excusing anybody, but I'm just saying there are the things that you would like to do.
Right.
And certain values that are traditional that you would like to carry on. But at the same time, if you don't do those things, that doesn't mean that you've somehow done something wrong.
Right.
It just means that, hey, my path is a little different. My road is going to be a little different.
Yep.
I'm still going to live my life in a way that makes me happy.
Right.
And I did like his take on it of, look, let them live the life they want to live.
Yep.
Now, he don't feel that way about Lil Nas X, but that's a whole...
He's been a hypocrite.
Right, but you know what? Look, a broke
nigga is twice is right twice a day.
Twice a day, so I'm with it.
I never said it that way, but I like that better than a broken clock.
Right. So what else was on the internet? The Game had his drink champs interview with Nor.
4 hours and change.
4 hours.
I tried. I started it, and I was like, for it to be 4 hours, there has to be something that was worth listening to. In the beginning, what I realized is, so apparently he's just a drinker in general. So I think that was part of the reason why it went so long. They actually talked about it. They were like, apparently Game is somebody that a lot of people have been trying to get on Drink Champs anyway because he's a big drinker.
Okay.
So I think that was part of it. I don't know because I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched maybe 20 minutes or listened rather, or maybe 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, it just wasn't enough content that I was interested in that made me want to continue listening. It was.
You didn't even try to skip through to see.
I'm not talking about that shit. Like the coolest part of it in the beginning, apparently, and this is so alleged. No one really knows. I don't know how true this is, but the person who killed Bin Laden, allegedly was listening to one of Game's songs in his headphones. But I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know, but I'm not in the military. I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I feel as though your comms have to be clear.
No, if you're going on, you could listen. He could have been listening.
I get before, but in the mission.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not
because the way they framed it, it was in the mission. But I'm like, if it's a team of people, you got to be able to talk to each other. And if you're listening to music,
right? But if we're all in a helicopter right now, and again, I don't.
Yeah,
know, right?
From that standpoint, yes, you can listen to whatever you want to, possibly.
I don't think they were saying. Did he say
That's what I'm saying. They framed it as while he was on while he's on the mission, and I was like, nah, I don't know if I believe that. I thought, I was like, maybe it was when they were on the way.
As he's gearing up, right? Yeah, like I could see
maybe
that.
this is how he gets excited about this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, I could definitely see that. But
so he was bigging up, but there's other things like no one can actually substantiate that because one, nobody actually knows who shot Bin Laden other than the people who were responsible for that mission.
It was what's his name? Chris Pratt. Was it not Chris Pratt? It was Chris Pratt, right?
Nah, it was Bradley Cooper.
Bradley. No, Bradley.
I'm
no, because Chris Pratt did what was the movie where they the boring movie that was only exciting for like 15 minutes at the end where they actually caught Bin Laden. You know the movie I'm talking about.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, dog, it was terrible. Well,
I didn't watch it because I knew it was gonna be terrible.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, let me think about it. It wasn't terrible, but it only got the whole movie.
So it's like the new Batman.
I don't know yet. I can't. Jury's out.
I haven't watched it, but like
jury's out. Because here's what I'm saying: the jury's out. I got one review on that because we're jumping around right now. I got one review on that, from Kurt, who's a big movie guy.
Sure.
But then I heard a lot of things from a lot of other people that have me like, okay. My problem with the new Batman was when I bought my ticket for it, it was a 7:00 show, and I heard it was 3 hours long, and not a whole lot of action. I was like, oh, I'm gonna fall asleep. So I'm gonna have to rethink this, like for a daytime matinee.
Like HBO Max.
HBO, it might be an HBO Max thing. I may go to the theater, but it will have to be early.
You're gonna go.
Only if it's early. Like, that's the thing. I would have to find the time to go early. Because any nighttime showing, I'm going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
3-hour movie. That's
without action.
Right. That's ambient. That's...
Especially with these new theaters, like, you can literally, like, recline.
No, first of all, yeah. I don't go to theaters that don't have recliners anymore. Like,
I'm the same way.
Absolutely has to be recliners. Reserved seating. I don't want to argue with you about... I don't want to line up to get a good seat or nothing. I want to pick my seat ahead of time, get there when I want to. I want that. That's the experience. That's my minimum.
And on a nice day, I want to go to iPick where I can order some food and a bottle of champagne, like at my seat.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So I bought the ticket at iPick. Right?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
No.
So that was the plan. But then again, when I heard 3 hours,
like, nah.
7:00 movie, 20 minutes of trailers, so the movie's not starting until about 7:20, 7:30. I was like, nah, ain't no way. I'm definitely gonna miss the last hour and a half of this movie.
Right.
So I may go see it. The jury's out on that one.
But anyway, back to Mr. Game.
The funny thing about that story is I remember watching Joe Budden's podcast prior to, and they said that this is gonna be some of the best lies you ever heard. They was like, Game is a notorious liar. So like you saying like that story and the way they framed it, if that's how they framed it, that's kind of funny. Because I couldn't see.
That's precisely how they framed it.
Yeah, I couldn't see like.
I literally was listening, and the irony was I was on the way to a gun range, so I was like, "This is too fitting. This is dumb." But anyway, the interview itself wasn't great. I did see some of the highlights.
I heard it was really good, but so you can't say because you only watched 20 minutes of it.
The
first 20 minutes wasn't good.
Based off of what I listened to, it wasn't a great interview.
Okay.
And I saw some of the highlights from it, like trailer. Mm-hmm. Didn't seem like a great. It sounded like it was very provocative.
Okay.
There were a bunch of like, sound bites that sound dope that make you want to listen to it, but it wasn't enough for me to. I'm actually not even a Game fan anyway, so that also plays a role there.
See, I liked Game. I liked the documentary.
Documentary is a fucking classic album.
I don't know anything past documentary.
that was his debut album.
I know. That's all I got, bro.
That was before the LA tattoo on his face. Right?
That's all I got. That's all I got.
So I can't consider myself a fan of him because I liked his first album, right? Like,
no, I'm not. I thought he was a good rapper. Whenever I would hear him on features, like he got lyrics, he got bars.
For sure.
I never fully bought in. Like I said, first album was great. And that was it for me in the Game. You know what I'm saying? That was it. So he kind of fell off of my radar entirely. And honestly, that's true with a lot of rap.
Sure.
Just fell off of my radar entirely, right? The thing with the interview wasn't even about Game. It was more about what he said. So what got me, I didn't watch it yet. I plan on it.
Did you see any of the images, the imagery?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I saw
he comes in with the
yeah,
ski mask
he came
on.
in with, but and that's the thing where like that's that Kanye influence.
Dog, let me tell you how stupid this shit was though. Because Drink Champs is a podcast about drinking.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they laid out the red carpet for him. They brought Ace of Spades.
Okay.
Right? And I'll give him one thing to Nori. Nori, like they gave him his flowers. They gave him like a box that had some like gold plated flowers and shit like that.
Okay.
But like they were drinking Ace of Spades.
Okay.
Right? He had to like pull up his mask every time he was gonna drink. In the first, and I don't know if he ever takes it off.
Okay.
But like in the first 20 minutes, I'm sitting there like, this is dumb. I get you come in with this shit, but like,
why are you wearing
the moment that you start drinking, like, take that shit off. We all
like,
know what you look like.
Right, like why are you wearing the mask? See, that's it.
Right.
It's funny because like, no, here's what's funny. It's like some of these dudes get around Kanye and start to just adopt some of this stuff. And then what happens is people in society see it and they're like, oh, that's dope. I want to emulate that. You
mean sheeple, not people.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it's like something that you know looks stupid. And you knew it looked stupid yesterday.
Right.
Now your favorite celebrity does it.
So it doesn't look stupid.
And suddenly it no longer looks stupid. Like, yeah. And I'm just not built like that. I'm like, look, if it looked stupid yesterday, it looks stupid now. I will not carry a purse. Like, I just won't do it. Like, I can't. But I'm seeing these dudes, like, I'll be going to parties and stuff, and dudes is getting their money out of their little man purse and shit. And
the closest thing to one of the purses, the Merces or whatever, I got an Adidas strap. Like it's kind of like it's actually it looks more like a fanny pack.
It's a fanny pack, right?
But you wear it across your chest.
Purse though.
But okay. Literally the only time I've ever used it is when I am in swimwear and I can't put things in my pocket. So it's so phone, mask, that kind of shit. That's the only time I wear it. Like otherwise, it's like, bro, I got pockets. Like I don't need this thing.
And I don't care. Like I don't care who wears it. Who says this is the in thing? I'm like, yeah, it's still a person.
It's not popping. It's not popping.
So I saw the iimery. Like I saw him in the mask and stuff, and I was like, this was Kanye at the Super Bowl not too long ago. And you could say so. So when he made the statement that Kanye did more for him in 2 weeks than Dre did over his career,
sure,
I understand a little bit of why he would say something like that, because the game has more or less made himself like a Kanye protege within that 2 weeks, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
He's fully just adopted.
He's a stan.
Right. And
so go ahead, sorry.
No, so I was gonna say, like, while on its face, I was like, this isn't this. He's just saying this for clickbait. You know what I mean? Like, he has an album coming out. He knows how to drum up attention. Sure. So he knows, they all know how to play that game. Kanye knows how to play that game of, hey.
The best.
Right. Like, we need to drum up attention, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
To push this narrative of this album coming out.
Right.
To make sure that you're trending, because as long as you're trending, that's trending.
People are going to go listen to it. Like, even people who don't like you, they're going to go listen to it because they want to be able to, even if it's just
even if the shit, right.
Right.
That's like when 6ix9ine got out,
right, and
put out that horrible song that he put out like right out of jail.
It wasn't
and
horrible.
It
wasn't horrible. Yeah, vibe, dog. I'm not saying it was a good song, but like it had energy, and so so it's not really for us though. The energy that he has is for a much younger generation that likes that shit. They like that shit, bro. They like it. And as a DJ, like, I enjoy playing it only because, like, I get to anticipate, like, the way music is going to drop before you get to. So I appreciate, like, how that sounds. The song, yes, to your point, it is stupid. But, like, honestly, the energy behind it made sense. Like, because when you look at the streams, he had the stream. The only person that actually that does it better than Kanye is 6ix9ine. That's the only one that I can think of off the top that does it better than Kanye. He kills it with that shit.
Okay. So he put out that horrible song. And people went and listened to it. A lot of people, because I want to hear this shit.
Sure.
Or someone sent it to someone in a group or whatever. And people clicked on it.
Right.
Or even like his live where like he's getting ready to go live to talk, the shit that he knows people are going to want to hear, whether you're a fan, not a fan, hate him, love him, whatever. Of course, it's going to get 1 million views because people love drama, right? People love drama, people love controversy, people love that. So Game, knowing that, is, of course, people are going to tune in to Drink Champs. Of course, people are going to tune in on, I guess he did a video afterwards where he was like doubling down on a lot of what he said.
Right. And then at that point, he was talking about him being a better lyricist than Eminem. And
he was like, he's better than Eminem.
Yeah. He said, which was interesting because, like, originally he said that he didn't think he was.
He said he did not want that smoke. And I don't think he became a better rapper.
Not at all. Like, not at all. So I try to step back and understand where people might be coming from, and really like listen to what's not being said. Okay. Right? Like, and it's probably gonna sound funny, but like, I learned this from being in relationships, right? Because a lot of times you're in these relationships and you have these conversations and they say one thing and it's like, all right, I'm going to address that one thing, but like, that's not the thing that is the real issue. Okay. So with respect to that here, I'm like, all right, well, if I step back, what might he be saying? Right? Because I don't think anyone looking at Game's career sees what he's saying, right? Most people are like,
are you talking about what's saying that Dre
like that Dre didn't do as much as Kanye has in the last 2 weeks? And it's like, nah, but Dre put you on. Like, no one would know who you are if it wasn't for Dre. And granted, who knows? You might have been on at some point in time.
And so that was what his argument was. That he would have made it.
He would have made it at some point in time. Sure, fine. Like that's like I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, right? I'm gonna give you the benefit. But I was like, well, maybe it's like a love languages thing where, you're giving someone quality time all day or physical touch all day, but all they want is gifts, right? And at this point in time...
I think love languages are bullshit, by the way, but go ahead.
I don't. But like, with respect to this, Dre is giving him physical touch for his entire career. Pause. And then Kanye is like, oh no, but he really wants gifts, so I'm gonna give him gifts. And then over those 2 weeks, he has felt more loved as a result of the love that he wants as opposed to love that he gets. Not saying that Dre hasn't actually given him more, but remember, all this has to do with the subjectivity of Game looking at it. Like, it doesn't matter what we see. It's all based off what Game either thinks or is trying to leverage for clicks or views or whatever it is.
Right. I think you're overthinking it.
Probably. Because I overthink a lot.
Because honestly, and Game even said it. He was like, we don't know. Right? We don't know who did what for him in what space of time. So him saying it is from his perspective. And from that point of view, I agree with him. I'm like, you know what? I actually don't know what you and Dre's relationship was. Like, we could use like the Patriots. Like, you would think Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had a really good relationship.
We don't know.
But no, they said they did not. You know what I mean? Like, now 20 years later, you're finding out it was not. So like, we don't know. I don't know. And to his point about like, he would have been on anyway. As someone who has an album coming out, right now you have to sound cocky. You got to sound confident. Like, when he was talking about the Super Bowl and not being on, he was like, well, I killed it short because I'm the best. I'm better than all of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's your perspective.
Bro, and I'll take it a step further. Sorry to cut you off. Remember that point. Seriously.
Try.
So in the first 20 minutes of the interview, Nori brings it up and asks him, like, if you happen to be tapped on the shoulder to be on the Super Bowl halftime, what song would you have performed?
Okay.
Bruh, he named a song that wouldn't have even meshed with what was going on because he's looking at it solely from whatever the fuck he's looking at it from. Like, he's not, because if you think about it, and we talked about this, if you look at the entire halftime show, all the songs that were performed were fucking hits.
What song did he pick?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Like, it wasn't like one of his Billboard chart hits.
Here's the thing: he wouldn't have picked the song regardless. Dre
for sure. Right.
Right. If he was tapped, Dre would have told him.
Good call.
Here's the song you're doing. But I want to.
Nope. This is the song you're
doing.
Or you're not on the
right. Here's where you're coming in. You're only doing this verse, and then here's where M's gonna come in. Like
right after 50 comes down.
Right. Like
he
would not have had to say. He could have asked.
Right.
He could have given his preference, but Dre would have choreographed that dance start to finish anyway.
Anyway, go
ahead.
You forgot.
Yeah, so you shouldn't interrupt.
I told you, like, remember.
You know, I can't control that, right? I don't remember what I was talking about. But either way, with regards to Game, I just feel like I understand where he's coming from. I think it was something along these lines. I was saying, like, I get his perspective on it in that, you weren't there, so you don't actually know.
Sure.
So I could tell you,
anything.
If I tell you this, then honestly, for me, I have to just accept that. At first, I was like, this is some bullshit. Ain't no way. But honestly, he made a good point. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? I don't know what you and Dre's relationship was. So if you felt like within this space of time, all Dre did was put you on, quote unquote, and you feel like you would have been on anyway, then you don't feel like Dre did that much for you. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you felt.
Yeah.
The truth of it is,
that's a big thing, though.
Right. No, because we all know, I think that's where it comes back to the cockiness and of being a rapper who has an album coming out. You have to exude that. I don't knock him for that at all. But we all know, like, that getting on, especially then,
bro,
it's not now. Right now, anyone can get on because most of these artists are putting themselves on.
Right.
Back when Game came on, no, you actually needed someone to
needed a cosign. You needed a
cosign. Or you wasn't getting on.
And then you got a cosign from Dre.
That's the next thing.
Like
Dre executive produced your first album.
Bro, there are 4 people that can cosign in that space at that time that no matter what, you're gonna be golden. Dre, Diddy, Pharrell, Timbaland. Mm-hmm. Those 4.
Jay.
Well, so
not from a
I'm looking from a producer standpoint.
Okay.
I'm looking from a producer standpoint. Okay. Yeah, like I mean, co-sign from like an artist standpoint, of course, Jay.
And honestly, not even really, because a lot of Jay's people flopped when you think about it.
Yeah.
When you're like, so I even take that back, like.
Right. So like, out of those 4 though, like out of those 4 camps, came legendary artists
and classic albums. So when you think about Game's first album, like it came out to a lot of buzz, a lot of hype. It came out off of the success of Eminem and G Unit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you had a lot of things line up completely perfectly for you.
Right.
That I'm not gonna say led to your success, but definitely gave. So to downplay that and say, "Oh, I would have came out. I would have been who I was anyway." Nah, bro.
Yeah.
Because there's lyrically better rappers than you that
100%.
didn't make it.
100%.
And it's not a knock on you because it's a lot of time, place, circumstance stuff.
Sure.
But there are better lyricists than you that never had that perfect storm of things to catapult them into that next level. So to downplay Dre's impact on, at least from that perspective, Kanye may have done more. I don't know. I wasn't there in these 2 weeks. But I'm just saying, let's not act like you would have always just been the game. Like, and that's the thing I like with like.
You might have been the instructions.
Right. The thing I like with like 50 is 50 always gives them credit.
Of course.
50's he don't never like he will, and 50's as cocky and arrogant as it comes.
But he knows.
And M always gives Dre credit.
Because they know they come from the kind of camp where they know
like look,
that success comes with not just preparation but opportunity.
Yeah,
you have to have the opportunity with the preparation.
Talent. Right. It's not just talent. There's a lot of very great rappers lyrically that don't ever get that.
There's some great DJs who don't get love because they don't have the opportunities. In our space, what I'm talking about.
In anything. If you don't get that link, like artists, DJs, musicians, singers,
all of it.
Actors, dog, I look at like I can't remember his name. Last name is Esposito. Really great. Really
I know what you're talking about.
But and he gets roles, but like and we all know him as a really great actor.
Right.
But he hasn't had that standout signature like take it to the next level role, and it's not a knock on him to my knowledge. I don't know. I don't know what his roles he's taken and stuff, or even like Jeffrey Wright. Like, I think Jeffrey Wright's a phenomenal actor, but you don't see him in places where he's the leading man per se.
Which one is Jeffrey Wright?
Jeffrey Wright played remember Shaft?
Yeah.
Peoples?
Yep.
Peoples, right.
Okay, yeah. Oh, but he's a great actor though.
No, that's what I said.
I mean, he got some great roles though.
But he's never.
He was in Westworld.
But he's never the leading man.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he's never the guy in any of these roles. But he's so versatile. He's such a chameleon in all of his roles.
Right. And he has range.
He has super range.
No, because he was Dominican in that joint.
Yeah.
And then he was like Caribbean in another one. Like, he's all over the place.
He played the Watcher in
He was in 007.
He was in 007.
Like, he's been in a lot. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you see the point? Like, the opportunities are there, but it's like no one's casting him as that leading man. Like, hey, this is your movie.
Right.
You're the top of the marquee. At least I haven't seen it. So
right.
Stuff like that is where I'm like, all right, I get what you're saying, game. But to me, like I said, you overthought it.
I think it's bullshit.
You got an album coming out.
Oh, no, I agree. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, I'm with you.
I didn't. I was like, you got an album coming out. But on the Super Bowl, and we ain't got to stay long on this. Apparently,
there's only one thing to say.
Yeah, Snoop said Jay-Z told the NFL, because they had their stipulations. They were saying, look, we don't like certain parts of it.
Sure.
So we want to cut out X, Y, and Z. They wanted to cut out they want Snoop to crip walk. They didn't want him in gang apparel.
Right.
They didn't want lines that were anti-police.
Right.
And Jay-Z was like, nah, this is their art.
Right. And if you're not going to do it, we out.
We can end this deal. And the NFL right now couldn't risk that.
At all.
Like, because that would have gotten out that, hey, the NFL partnership with Jay-Z has ended over
a disagreement on artistic style.
Right.
Some bullshit
and right now you already dealing with, you ain't got no black coaches. You ain't got no black owners. We got an image issue to clean up real quick.
Can't nobody say shit about Jay-Z right now.
You know what? People still can. But here's what I mean, right?
I mean, there's no real grounds for it. That's what I mean.
But there's never been real grounds for it.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, though, like, this is now circumstantial. Not circumstantial. This is, like, substantiated, right? It's like, we actually have, not Jay-Z saying this, we have somebody that was a part of the show, this iconic halftime show, that can vouch and say, this is what he did for us.
Right.
And not only that, like, we're talking about a West Coast artist who, not like, clearly there was no beef between East Coast and West Coast at that point in time with Jay-Z.
I mean, that's
but still, it's like, no, Jay-Z stepped out and was like, no, we're doing this, and really put the West on with this.
Right. No, I'm not saying no. I think the problem is, like, the people who are going to criticize, they're going to find something to criticize. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this wasn't enough. Why didn't he get Kaepernick back in the league? You know what I mean? It's good.
Why wasn't Game on this show?
Right. It's always going to be something. So that's why I was like, it don't even matter how good. Like, to us, it was a big gesture and it was cool to hear. But, you know, like, the people, it's never good enough. You're going to find a reason. It's like right now, honestly, the people who hate on LeBron James right now still.
Right.
And I'm a LeBron fan. I'm a guy.
So people like Mo.
Yeah, people like Mo, right? Because like me, I'm one of those guys who I think Jordan's the GOAT.
Yeah, but anybody who doesn't is ridiculous. But
I'm still a fan of LeBron. I don't diminish LeBron at all.
There's room to like him and Kobe.
If you're a LeBron fan that says Jordan's the GOAT, they call you a LeBron hater. Like that. That's how
I'm gonna be a LeBron hater.
That's how the stands look at it. It's like you can't just like LeBron and not think he's the GOAT. It's either he's the GOAT or you're a hater. And I'm like, nah, there's room to do more. But like for those people who are actual haters, oh, bro, LeBron could save 1 million children from a burning building. And it would be like, oh, but the building still burned down though. You know what I mean?
He didn't put the fire out.
Right. Like people like Skip Bayless, they will find the thing.
Yeah.
And even him, he's a caricature of a person anyway. But it's like, there are people who, I was reading the comments on a post this weekend because I guess LeBron dropped 56 in a win. Okay. But then the following game didn't play. Okay. Ah, man, they were shredding him. I'm like, the dude is 37 and just scored 56 points in a win. That's huge. Okay, so he's a little hurt for the next game.
Like he's already, I mean, shit, like think about it. I mean, you're older than 37.
Yeah, dog. I couldn't even play a full basketball game now.
I'm 37 now. I could play a whole game, But I couldn't put no 56 points down.
Well, here's the thing. I could play the whole game. There would be a lot of subbing me out. A whole lot of time spent on the bench, bruh. By the end of it, there's no defense. Like, I'm just, damn, he scored again. Like, there's no fourth quarter. I'm out of it. He's playing like 37 minutes a night. So I'm like,
he's playing for most of the game.
So that's why I'm like, there's the people who are gonna find the fault. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna never win with everybody. So, but nah, that was dope. That was cool. I think we got time for one more topic. Okay. Because the social media has been all over the place.
They've been social mediaing.
Dog. They've been all over the place.
Let's get to.
Okay. Let's get to. Okay. All right. So on social media, this chick was saying that if you try to take her out on a date, you gotta pay for the babysitter. And that was her post, and then she doubled down on it, like, if you're the one asking me out, etc.
Sure.
Why should me or my child's father have to pay for the child care?
Sure.
You should factor that into your budget. And I was like, oh, cool.
So what are your thoughts?
I'm staying away from you. Like, is the end of the day, right? You can set the standards you want. And the good thing is, she put it out there up front. So I think for dudes, you now have the option to accept or reject this proposal.
Correct.
Off the break. So I'm not even knocking her for putting that out there. I don't think she has any audacity. People were frying her in the comments. No, that's your standard.
Right.
If you're taking me out.
This is my requirement.
Right. I know just for me, seeing that, I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah. So I actually, I'm gonna give her props for it. Now, I'm with you on the standpoint that I see this, that I would never take you out. Ever. But hear this, right? Like, the older I get, the more I appreciate people being honest about who they are and where they are,
and upfront.
Right.
Put it out early.
Right. Because when it comes down to it, why waste my time? Right. Why waste your time? So if that stance weeds out 75% of the people who might be interested, but automatically are not anymore, but then she's able to still find the 25% who are willing to do it, because there are some simps out there who will pay for that shit.
You don't gotta be a simp if you would pay. Just you're willing to. You've accepted her terms.
There are some simps that are willing to pay for that shit. And the only reason I call them simps is this, right? It's not because they're willing to pay for something. It's that it's their responsibility to pay for something. Like, I do not believe... that was the most bitchy sneeze ever.
I held it in. I just didn't sneeze. I literally chose not to...
You sound like the fucking Pillsbury Doughboy, dog. Anyway,
I held it. Anyway. Next time I'm gonna just sneeze.
No, don't. No way. Damn if you didn't ever know. Right. But on the real though, right? Like, I do believe that when it comes to courting, there has to be some initiative taken from the person who's being courted as well. I'm not saying you got to do the work, but you should make yourself available. I shouldn't be doing all the work. I shouldn't be trying to make this magical evening and then being like told I have to also
handle your availability as well.
That's actually not my responsibility yet.
Right.
Until we get married, that's not my responsibility.
No, because here's the thing. I think the part of it was her making it about.
That is the issue.
You want to take me out. You know what I'm saying? So it's setting a standard. And that's true. If the person asks you out, they are setting that standard. Now, does that mean that, let's say I do that on date one, right? I wouldn't. But let's say I did that, right? Sure. I have a kid too. So now you hit me up at some point, like you want to go somewhere. I'm like, cool. So when you pay for, when you organize a babysitter for my kid, you know what I'm saying?
Then we can organize.
Then we can go. Like, is that how it works? If because I want to take you out, it's my responsibility, and you'll do the same in return? Because it didn't sound like that to me. It just sounded like
it's ridiculous. But I will say this though. My guess is that she's probably very young. The younger you are, the more stringent you tend to be on your non-negotiables.
Yeah.
The older you get, the more experience you get, the more mature you are. You tend to realize that some of those non-negotiables that you had are fucking stupid.
We're actually pretty negotiable.
They're just dumb, right? So, like, good for her. She set her stage. Hopefully she finds somebody who's willing to pay for it. If not, she's good with her child and her child's father. Because, apparently the father can't take care of the kid when she has to go out.
I don't even think it's can't.
But that's how she framed it more or less, right? Like it's not the responsibility of me or my child's father.
Right. So but that's what I'm saying. She wasn't even saying he can't, because she wasn't even saying she can't. Right. She was saying, you know what? Right. Yeah. Like, I'm not even asking him. Not even taking it that way. It's on you.
So good for her.
But so that leads me into this other one, where this guy who's been kind of like making the rounds on social media, because a lot of people have actually been commenting on this one. Yep, saving it for last, where he mentions in their own podcast dating a woman who has all of her stuff together, basically. And in the soundbite that was posted, he basically said he met a young lady, and she told him, I'm good. I got a good job. All this other stuff. I have everything sorted out and figured out. Now I'm just looking for a man. And he basically kind of like shat on her on some old, but like what I'm gonna do with that? You know what I mean? Like who? And the problem was he started to frame it like, who would want you? Like she would be undesirable.
It was a Kevin Samuels effect.
Right. Like, you're undesirable to the masses.
Right.
And,
Well, I'll be the first to say, ladies, if you make more than me, I am not intimidated by it at all. Okay? At all. Please make more than me. Take care of fucking me.
So,
bro, like, you sent it to me. So I listened to the entire podcast. Mm-hmm. I thought there were a lot of gems in the podcast. But I was also cringing through a lot of it as well, because particularly in that section of it, because there's this idea, unfortunately, now where men still believe that what they bring to the table is financial, right? Mm. And that's just not the case. Like our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents era, like, men were the ones who were the providers financially and the protectors physically, because women didn't have the fucking opportunity to do either of those things. And what they had to do was be the housewife. Now, times have changed. More women are actually doing those things. And I think it's been an opportunity of doing one of two things. Men either have to learn that we're worth more than bringing money to the table, right? Like, we can actually meet people emotionally and be more emotionally mature and all those other things. Or we can double down and only look for women who aren't doing big things. Me on like, to be personally, like, I want the first one. I want a chick who makes good money too, because I don't want to be the one that has to pay for everything, personally. Even if I have the means to pay for everything. And the thing is, usually I don't pay for everything anyway. But it's nice to be able to have somebody be like, yo, you want me to cover it? You know what? Sure. Hold that shit. Or if shit gets tight for me over here, no, babe, can you help me out with this here, here, and here? But I also understand, I'm like, at that point in time, there's an emotional piece that I know I have to show up, and it can't be I just make the money and show up. It's also, I got to be able to hear you out, listen to what's going on, and help you navigate whatever you're dealing with emotionally with me and all the other things. So I think it has more to do with fragility than anything, like the way that he commented on the shit. Because that's some fragile ass weak shit, dog. Like, to say that someone is not desirable because they're already making money and they already have everything together, like, weak as fuck. The only caveat I'll throw out there is the women who act so independent that they're like, well, I don't need a man. At that point, it's like, well, yeah, you might not need me, but you still have to, like, want me. So for those, I'll give the pass on. You can't act like you don't want me. But once you act like you want me, I don't give a fuck how much money you make.
Okay. Yeah, I gathered a little bit differently from it. Okay. Just a little bit. Okay. I think part of the problem, I don't agree with him, right? Okay. But I also understand that it doesn't matter whether I agree with him or not, because at the end of the day, he needs to find the woman who fits into what his expectations are. Good point. And once he finds that person, they're going to be great together. Sure. So if you don't want these things, then cool. Because like, even what you said at first when you talk about men need to understand that what we bring to the table is more than is not just financial. Part of the problem is a lot of the people who are feeding a lot of the information. Like there's the dude with all the tats that spent like years just telling women all men bring is money. You know what I'm saying? Like make sure that he's spending this money on you. Then we fall into this. It looks like this trap is being laid where like you get some people who that's all they look at people for is the financial benefit, or they expect a certain amount of things financially, right? So there creates pressure on both sides because now you have men who are trying to live up to this standard that, again, the internet and social media and people are placing on them and saying, hey, this is what you need before you can even get a woman. Like there was a post the other day where they were saying, and I actually agree with this post, where it said something like $65,000 is not enough to have a stay-at-home wife, right?
I think it depends on where you live.
Yeah, I think it does depend on where you live. Like if you're in like
in DC, fuck no. Like there's no way.
It's not even enough to live by yourself. Like a stay-at-home wife. So yeah, I get it.
But like maybe in like Idaho or some shit. Like
I mean, I don't know the cost of living, but yeah, if you go to like somewhere with a low cost of living, while the poor, you don't know. It might be enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know that, but I think the post was more about a statement of trying to set like kind of a baseline number, where like, hey, on average, and so we can't use the lowest and we can't use the highest, but on average, they don't believe that's enough, and I kind of agree with it. I don't think on average across the country, $65K is enough.
On average, you totally can.
Right.
You can. Average, the only reason I know
have a stay-at-home wife.
Yeah, the only reason I know this is because like I've looked at median incomes across the country for a project I worked on. Yes, across the country, like from median income, sure. The problem is like we don't live in a median age like a place, right? Like so the entire Northeast Mid-Atlantic area, nobody there can afford that. No. Nobody on the West Coast can afford that. No. Definitely Miami can't afford that. More Middle America can afford that, and even parts of the South can afford it. But like, it's difficult to wrap your head around that when you live in a space where that's just not to your point possible as a single person.
Right. Because everywhere you're talking about are places that I've lived, and I'm like,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, but yeah, like so Tennessee, for instance. Okay. You 100% can do that. 100%. To the point where like, so here's the problem though. Mm-hmm. So God has blessed me to, I make considerably more than that. Mm. And I wouldn't move to Tennessee with my salary, knowing that I could have a stay-at-home wife. I just, there's certain places I just don't want to live. So like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me how much even money how I make. Like, I don't want to live in certain places. So the places that would allow it, they're just not appealing to.
I mean, and that's a lifestyle thing. I guess it depends on.
It's also a people thing. I just don't live in Tennessee.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's a life. Like it's like what that lifestyle is when you move to certain places. Like you know what I'm saying. There's the people who like to be around certain things, and people who like to be around other things, like
other black people.
But even beyond that, like because I have black friends who want to move to like rural Georgia, right? Because they like life there, like when they did live there. So good for them. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's
chance now.
It's not for me. I know it's not for me, but I'm also like I'm more drawn to the cities. So
if I can't be in a city within like 20 minutes,
I don't want to be anywhere that's too far from a city, right? And that's just me. But I understand that that's not for
everybody, right.
So, all of that was saying like, but even from that post, right? There was some back and forth in the comments about the post. And like, even with us, like we both looked at it from two different perspectives. I don't think it's enough. You say it's doable. I agree with you. I didn't do the research, so I can only go off of what I've lived and experienced.
Sure.
But then you get this mentality that, hey, you need to be doing X and Y and Z in order just to function for yourself. You definitely can't do that and afford to have a girlfriend, have to date or whatever, because a lot of these things are unrealistic expectations being placed on you. And maybe not even unrealistic. It's realistic depending on your income, right? But then you have a lot of women out there, like, who will tell you exactly what you just said. It's not all about the money.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But if you've been brainwashed into this the whole time,
then it is about the money.
Right. Then when someone comes to you and they say to you, hey, I have the means, I don't need it. I need you to show up for me in these particular places.
Right.
I need you to just be a good partner. I need you to be a good. They think that, yeah, but being a good partner means that I can buy you all of this stuff. Sure. And that's it.
Right.
So that's where it becomes a problem. It's like what you've been told and what you've been taught. As far as these dudes, like from listening to to him talk, and even the other guy, it just there was a bit of a mentality of, like, they tried to explain it, because again, I saw the clip and I was like, I need to see the rest of this. I need to see it in context. Anytime something's cut off, it's like I feel like there's
more.
Right. There was something, there was a lead up and there was a follow up to this.
Right.
And I guess they tried to frame it and explain it, and maybe didn't do the best job of explaining it.
They did a fucking horrible job.
Right. Like, you know, it's not even about the money thing, but it's more about the attitude that comes with being when you have a certain level of success. They immediately equated that with a certain attitude.
Sure, and that was that. And I think you're articulating it very perfectly. Like that was more of my issue.
Right. And so here's the thing. The point is, the two don't automatically go together.
Correct.
And you're saying that because she comes to you and says, oh, I do all of this and I just need this, that she's automatically unattractive to you.
Right.
That's just stupid. Because you don't know anything about this young lady.
At all. She could be the most amazing. Matter of fact, she might be the type to be like, I'm willing to submit to you. I just wanted to make sure I had my shit in order so that
also
XYZ.
Why should she be waiting for? And he did say this. He did kind of put this on men, where like women have gotten so tired of waiting for men to provide for them that they've started providing for themselves.
100%.
And I get that. That's what has happened. That's society we live in. Sometimes you're not going to wait around for a man to be those things for you. You go out and you get it yourself.
Right.
That doesn't disqualify her from
at all
from the dating pool. That doesn't mean that means okay, I wasn't waiting for you. I went ahead, did what I did, got my stuff together.
Right.
But, and don't get me wrong, she could be a complete bitch. Guess what? She could be broke and be a complete bitch.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the income don't got nothing to do with who she may or may not be as a person.
And that's the thing, right? Like for me, because listening to the entire episode, and even taking what you said a few minutes ago, it's like the fact of the matter is this: when you are in a position where you're like, I just need you to come support whatever I'm doing, whatever it is, like as a man. What that does is it negates the fact that she might have a vision for what she wants to do.
Right.
And it's not a case of what she wants to do is more important than what you want to do, but like, how about we have a conversation about if there's a way for us to gel these things together, if there's a way to see which one is going to provide a better life for both of us. Like, it's just an automatic, the way I look at life is the way that it makes the most sense. And the fact that you have some shit going on, you're just unattainable. And
it's like, and which is why like the guy in the middle, I can't remember his name, but he was kind of putting it in that frame.
Correct.
Where he was more like, no, like, look, if it's more about compatibility.
Correct.
If we're not going to be compatible, it doesn't matter who's making more or who's making what. Mm-hmm. But if we're compatible, then the rest of the stuff will sync up anyway. So I think the bottom line is we probably, as people, and I'm not going to tell people how to, but I'm just thinking for me, I'm more focused on are we compatible versus what we bring to the table?
Sure.
Because that's A is going to be more important than B.
100%.
You know what I mean? 100%. Like the B will come, but if we're not compatible, then the rest doesn't matter. Because we could both be fully well established or whatever and not get along because we differ in, our roles and how we view relationships and our standards and like all of those things.
Yeah.
And then it won't matter what we're making or who's successful, who's not successful.
Bro, like the piece that got me to the point where I honestly, I don't want to say stop listening, but like stop trying to give benefit of the doubt was when, and I don't remember their names, but the guy that was in the Atlanta Braves cap and the glasses talked about knowing this chick who was doing so well financially, so much more than even the guest who apparently was doing already well financially. And for, I think it was his birthday, she decided that she was going to
take him on a trip.
Take him on a trip, right? And when there was a point where they were chilling or some shit, and she sees him on the phone, and clearly he's been on the phone for longer than just a couple seconds. He's been on the phone,
okay,
right? And her attitude changed. She didn't say anything, but her attitude changed. He at least was mature enough to ask, like, what's going on? And then she explained that, you know, she spent all this money to spend this time with him, and he's on the phone. And his immediate reaction, at least on the podcast, is, I wanted to take my debit card out and slap her XYZ, whatever it was, right? Like, and I get it, you trying to be extra with the way you say it, the way you phrased it, right? But it's like, honestly, if the tables are turned and I paid for a trip for a young lady for her birthday and we're spending time together and she's on the phone the entire time, at least it's the way it's being framed, you know,
or at least for the first day, because
right, like when we're spending time together, like I think I should be able to explain to you if you ask me what's going on, like because I might seem like a little off, and I say, well, you know, maybe I didn't say it from the standpoint of I paid for the trip, but like I thought that, you know, like we had this time to spend together, but you're on your phone. I think you should be able to say that.
Nah, but see what you did there is you changed the narrative because you didn't say what she said, because I completely, I don't agree with him, but I see what he's saying, because you didn't make it about, hey, we're supposed to be spending time together.
Right.
You took it to a money place. Right. And so most people don't like to be, and this is part of the problem with certain individuals. I'm not saying it's me, but I've seen it where like some people don't want to be held like financially hostage. Yeah. So his perspective,
none of us do.
Right. So it's like you can come to me with a complaint without mentioning the money you spent, especially if it was something where we could have both paid for this. It was a gift. Right. So you're throwing a gift in my face. And again, if I'm with you, if I'm spending the time on my phone, you're spending the time on your phone or whatever, I'm with a young lady, blah, 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 and she's like distracted after the trip, and it's the start. Yeah. This is the perfect opportunity to, hey, let's fix this. Sure. Hey, we can enjoy the rest of this.
So that goes back to what I said probably about 10, 15 minutes ago about like listening to what's not being said as opposed to listening to what is being said. No. I hear what you're saying. Like, and I'm not giving her a pass.
I'm about to say you trying to send this one.
No. I'm not giving her a pass. Yeah. The way she framed it, totally wrong.
If that's how she framed it.
If that's the way she framed it, right? But I mean, we can only go by what he said, right? Like, if that's the way she framed it, totally wrong. But the point still is, if you like step back, remove the ego, remove like the impact of, well, shit, I could pay for this shit myself, fine. And you think about it, honestly, it's kind of fucked up for you to be on your phone while I don't know you pay for it.
Did he ever acknowledge that? I don't remember.
No, he didn't. And that was part of our promise. Right. Like, bro, acknowledge that you didn't show up the way you should have.
No, I agreed. 100% agree with that. And that's what I'm saying. It's like some people latch on to this thing. Right. And they're like,
they lose sight of like the actual thing.
Right. Like, I don't like how you came at me. Right. But the problem was I was wrong. Like, you did have a right to express what I did wrong. You probably expressed it the wrong way.
Very poorly.
But all right, well,
I think that's time.
Yeah, that's time. It's good. It's been, we wrapped this one up pretty nice and tight.
Honestly, I didn't think we were gonna be able to get the time out of this one.
Well, guys, once again, it's been another great episode. Thank you guys for rocking with us.
Always.
If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you like, you subscribe, you click the link to get all the notifications.
Click the bell, all that shit.
We're on all podcast platforms. If you're listening to us, we're also on YouTube. If you're watching us, we're on all the audio platforms, so you know where to find us. As always,
it's International Women's Day, so it's not really as always. Shout out to all the ladies. Y'all got one day a year.
You know that's not airing.
It's not showing on International Women's Day, but guess what? It's International Women's Day today. So shout out to y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yesterday or a couple days ago.
We supporting and protecting and believing in black women and shit. I was told to wear this shirt. No, I wasn't really told to wear this shirt. I love this shirt. But yeah, shout out to y'all. This is Dre.
This is Rich, and we are out.
If you enjoyed this, make sure you check out all our full episodes on YouTube at Guys Unpacked.
Also available anywhere you get your podcast, and follow us on all social media at Guys Unpacked.